They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Hey guys, what is up? It is Seatin here, hello and welcome. So in today's video we're going to be looking at the new warrior healing soul coming in patch 2.7, known as the Liberator. Now this soul is by far my favourite. I'm really looking forward to it here in live because it has an absolute ton of awesome stuff. So in this video what we're going to be talking about is two things. We're going to be talking about the specs that Liberator uses, or like the best specs for Liberator, and various hybrid specs, and we're also going to be talking about the gear that you need as a Liberator, so how you can prepare for warrior healing, and we're going to be talking about all that kind of fun stuff in today's video. So strap in your seatbelts because it's going to be a bumpy ride of excitement and enjoyable discussion. There's not going to be much action in this video, guys. Just, if anyone wants to see a lot of pew-pewing, this video is just kind of information about what you need and what will be the best builds to use, etc. So to start off, the standard Liberator build, which is going to be the best one for maximum healing output. So if you want to top the healing meters, be the best healing warrior ever, then it is 61 Liberator, 10 Warlord and 5 Tempest. Now this is because Liberator basically revolves around well, the main chunk of your healing comes from attack power. Literally everything scales with attack power like crazy. You have various points like non-violence training, which just increase your weapon and attack power contribution towards your healing abilities by an absolutely crazy amount. So attack power is the go-to stat, but I'm going to talk about that later. So the best build, 61 Liberator and then 5 in Warlord for Soldier's Might, which grants 10% increased strength, and then 5 in Strength of Arms for an additional 10% attack power and weapon damage, and then 5 in Tempest for an additional 10% attack power and weapon damage again. Now you can, as always, swap the points around slightly. So what you can do for utility, you can take 1 out of Strength of Arms and put it over in Elude, and that way you get a sort of second break free and a leap backwards of 20 meters, which could come in fairly handy in sort of a variety of raid situations, and also, for example, PvP. I think that might be sort of the go-to build for PvP, but, I don't know. It's kind of personal preference, I suppose. So you also have the option of putting 15 points in a tank soul. Now, the best one, just from having a brief sort of glance over, appears to be possibly Reaver. So sort of putting points in this soul gives you increased armor and also increased endurance, and gives you a shield which is on the non-global cooldown. So that increased raw survivability might be pretty desired in PvP if you're often getting gripped in, or sort of you mainly want to charge into the heat of battle and then run around like an idiot healing yourself. So I believe, there are plenty of options. That's kind of what I'm trying to convey, guys. There is a lot that you can do depending on the circumstances that you're in. But for raw, for example, sorry, just going to touch on this, you can go 11 into Void Knight and get an interrupt, and also possibly a shield cooldown, which absorbs damage based on attack points, but I think that'll be quite crappy actually. But just the interrupt alone should be pretty helpful. But regardless of which, guys, conveying the message that there is a lot of diversity in these souls. Now, moving on, something I want to quickly touch on is kind of the hybrid possibilities that the Liberator does have. I set up a build for this. If you just give me one moment, I'll see if I can find it, and it's probably going to be really awkward and I won't be able to find it, but let's see what we can do. Yes, so this is the build I created. Essentially, one thing that's really awesome about Liberator is that a lot of the base single target heals and some really strong ones come at the very low points at the bottom of the tree. This allows you to make pretty much any 61 point build a very strong soloing spec. So as you can see, the build at the moment, 61 Tempest, 3 Paragon and 12 Liberator. What I've got from putting those 12 points in Liberator, I have a heal over time from Liberation Treatment. I have a basically around a 2k absorption shield every 10 seconds from Aegis of Sanctuary. I have a single target spam heal, first aid, and also I have a hot that stacks up to 3 times called Prolonged Recovery, and that hot is pretty damn powerful. So essentially, using just those 12 points in Liberator, you can turn any of your favourite DPS builds, like I could go Warlord or Paragon, or, well, Champion's pretty OP as it is for soloing, but just any build that I want, and turn it into this carnage beast of a single target soloing spec, which is kind of what the Warriors are really lacking at the moment. Like, the AoE specs for Warriors are brilliant, but when it comes to single target, they are a tad naff compared to, for example, Clerics and Mages, and the Liberators is just, the Liberator Soul is going to make them damn awesome, and I really cannot wait to sort of get into some of the solo content action. You know, for example, trying to solo Hammer Nail, Greenscale Splight, and River of Souls in more depth on my Warrior when 2.7 hits live, so I'm really looking forward to that. So, moving on to gear. Now, if you're a Warrior DPS, the kind of stats that you want to aim for in a kind of priority list, up there at the top is crit power, and then it's attack power, and then it's strength, and then generally you have a huge gap in terms of sort of stat effectiveness, and then it is dexterity and physical crit right at the bottom. So, with the Liberator Soul, and any healing soul, for example, crit power is often rated as very bad, and in the sort of case of the Liberator, that stays the same as well. The thing with healing, unlike DPS, is you want reliability. You want to know when you cast this heal that it's going to heal this target enough to prevent them dying for the mechanic. You don't want to be relying on getting a big crit to sort of save you at the split second where it's needed. And that's what a lot of the healing souls cater to. So that is why attack power is by far the best stat for warrior healers. Now, whether or not it's needed for you to make attack power, like a full set of attack power gear, really, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think if you do have your normal warrior DPS gear, that is going to be completely sufficient for, you know, healing raids, healing dungeons, etc. Just for the warriors that really want to min-max and focus purely on healing, raw attack power is the way to go. So if you want to sort of get up there and be on top of the healing, then you'll probably want to build an attack power sigil, because at the moment I know pretty much every warrior does have a raw crit power sigil at the moment. So if you are looking to get into warrior healing and be pretty damn savvy at it, I'd probably suggest building a raw attack power sigil. So just essences with as much attack power as you can possibly muster between them to sort of get the most out of your warrior healing. And as I did mention earlier, there are an absolute ton of abilities in the warrior healing soul that scale with attack power, and just, you know, generally it benefits so much from that stat. It's pretty damn crazy. So the way it kind of works, if you want to think of it as like a priority list for healing, you've got attack power, then you have strength, then you have a fairly large gap in terms of effectiveness, then you have crit power, dexterity, and finally right at the bottom, physical crit as usual. So I kind of hope this video answered a lot of the questions anyone had about gearing or warrior specs in general. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will get around to looking at them and answering them, hopefully as soon as I possibly can. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and take care.